Hello and welcome to GEOSCOPE on Politics Social. Ollie's just flown in from Vienna. How you doing, mate? Oh, no, boated
right.
in. Sorry, you're on a boat. He's got really lousy signal on the boat he's on. And he definitely didn't forget that we were doing the show at 7:30.
Yeah, I totally didn't go, I'm only going to play Rome 2 for an hour and then then I saw you calling. I'm like, oh, why is Graham calling? Oh, damn.
It's been a hell of a week. I've still got the dreaded lurgy, mate. I'm still a bit under the weather, to say the least. So I'm going to let you do most of the talking tonight for a change. So tell us about, well, what should we talk about first? Do you want to talk about Trump's plan for NATO plus membership?
Yeah, do we want to start with the America stuff first? Because I think if we start there,
jump over.
We'll start with the depressing stuff first, and then we'll move on to some good stuff.
Well, first I'll say hello to everyone in the chat. We've got Puninator in there who wants to know where the bowler hat man is. Because you weren't here. We've got Emma Price in there. Hi, Emma. Stephanie Wilson also, and we've got Flint Mead. Flint Mead saying, "Are we getting Graham or attractive Graham tonight?" Because Catherine filled in for me for a bit on Monday, so everyone wants her now instead of me. Apparently, I look amazing when I take my hat off. Michael Warner in there, and Jess Hunt is there. Too busy conquering. There you go. Anyway, so go on, tell us what's been going on. What's it all about?
Where to start first? Yeah, let's start with, obviously this relates to more stuff coming out from Project 2025, and especially what this probably means for the Trump presidency and essentially what Trump would plan to do with NATO. And of course, we all know NATO pretty much revolves around the whole idea of it is a shared collective defense pact, that if a country is attacked, all the countries are sort of attacked as well. This is obviously meant to deter an aggressor, because you're not just attacking one country. Theoretically, every country will come to your aid. This is why we've constantly seen throughout the whole Ukraine war the American current, and we've stressed the current American situation is, we will defend every inch of NATO territory. And of course, that at the moment, very, very reassuring, given everything that's been going on and all with stuff that we've talked about, Russia, Ukraine, the potential brouhahas that have been going on in and around there. So now you get an interesting problem where effectively Trump and his new colleagues, especially from Project 2025, are now coming to completely undermine the idea of collective defense. They are starting to say, well, we are interpreting Article 5. So bear in mind, this is their interpretation. They are interpreting Article 5 not to mean that they will go in, if war is declared, the American military will not mobilize to go and help defend wherever sort of particular NATO happens to be. What they're saying is, well, we don't think it necessarily means military intervention. We just think it just means equipment intervention. So like you see with Ukraine, we're all sort of giving Ukraine sort of equipment and etc.
Sorry, this is the Musketeer clause, isn't it? One for one, all for one and one for all, isn't it? And then D'Artagnan, like a complete dick, turns up and says, "No, actually, no. It doesn't actually mean that we'll all defend each other and we'll die for each other. It just means that I'll give you a sword if you need a sword."
Effectively, yeah. So,
I mean, I know you're already holding a sword, but I've got another one here for you if you need it. If you lose that one in battle, which probably means you're dead by then, but I've got a sword for you.
Here's a spare.
Here's a spare. Oh my god, yeah, I hate them. I hate them, Ollie. I want them all. Just someone had a brilliant chat message in the chat. They're saying every time you hit the like button, a Tory dream dies. But I didn't read the word dream when I read it. I just went, "Oh, that's brilliant." Oh, hang on. Probably shouldn't have thought that was as funny as I did. But yes, we can guarantee every time you hit the like button, a Tory Dream does. And also, Punning NATO wants to know where the bowler hat man is. No, where's the bowler hat man?
As always, it's just out of reach.
Just out of reach.
Although I did wear it briefly for Fino. Starmageddon.
Starmageddon. It was a beautiful, beautiful night. I didn't know that night could have got any more perfect. And then Liz Truss lost a seat at about 7 o'clock in the morning.
God, I was having palpitations at one point. I was really having palpitations because both Barnsley South and Barnsley North were predicted 99% to go to reform.
Oh shit! Really?
Yeah, I was like,
oh my God,
yeah, let's do this. And then that came in from Sky News, and I'm like,
oh no.
Luckily, that didn't happen.
That didn't happen. No. Despite their best efforts, we'll have to talk about their bots on another show. But yeah, he's already gotten interrupted there very rudely.
Yeah. Where is so? Yeah, Trump is now reinterpreting Article 5 to mean potentially he does not have to send the American military to go and intervene. He's also seems to be interpreting it in some points where he doesn't necessarily think he has to do even that, like even give some sort of non military support in that, which once again completely undermines the entire point of NATO and of course Article 5, or the whole point of collective defense. So this is worrying because the other thing that has come out as well, guess what? NATO plus membership that Trump wants to try and spawn off.
Is Russia going to join? Is Russia going to join NATO plus?
Probably not.
The National Aligned Trump Organization.
NATO plus membership is if you actually want the American military to intervene, let's say Russia attacks Lithuania, then Lithuania has got to have that special premium NATO plus membership. If it doesn't, the American military is not going to get involved.
God,
so yeah, totally not worrying as well.
That's so disturbing. Can we talk a little bit about Biden?
Oh yes. Well,
IOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has actually come out and said that she supports Biden because he's the leader, and I'm just like, I'm not happy about it.
I hope he does stay because, as someone brought up to me, 1 second, I just need to turn you up.
Excuse me.
I'm just gonna reach. Just
going under the desk to turn me on. That's what I heard.
There we go. But yeah, someone brought this up in my chat because I didn't know this. But if let's say Biden goes and they don't choose Kamala Harris, then whoever steps in to fill Biden's shoes basically has to start again from fundraising. They have to start from $0.
Can't they just take Biden's money? Can't Biden give them the money?
This is it. The money that has been raised can only be used for either Joe Biden or Kamala Harris.
Oh, for crying out loud.
So it's one of those things where it's now like, okay, you've either got to go with you stick with Biden or you get rid of him, but whoever comes in to replace him has to completely start again from all, a complete fundraising platform, or you bring in Kamala Harris and then you bring in a new potential VP, then at least you're not starting from scratch, on that point.
If we all die in a nuclear wasteland, like Biden's already had his time, hasn't he? He's 81. He's had a good innings, but, what about all the kids? What about all the kids who are going to die screaming as a result of Trump?
Yeah, it's... we've brought it up, I don't know how many times on here, the consequences of what happens if Trump wins. But I'm really starting to say what we should do now. And I think this is what not just us, but especially Europe needs to start saying. Because this comes to sort of obviously NATO and sort of idea of our collective defense. We need to start saying that if Trump wins, if Trump sort of pulls back from NATO, we are not going to go help America potentially with Taiwan, because we could just turn around and say, well, America, you're not willing to help us with our security concerns.
America's not going to help with Taiwan. If Trump gets in, he's just going to give Taiwan to China. He's going to give Ukraine to the Russians.
I don't know. I think Trump is pretty hawkish when it comes to China. I think there's a lot of Republicans that are very, very hawkish when it comes to China.
He's a coward.
I think he's will.
A coward. He won't make the difficult decisions. He just wants to run away all the time and betray the people, like the Afghan translators and the people who fought alongside American forces in Syria. He just wants to stab everyone in the back and watch the enemy kill them while he gets off on it, because he's basically Homelander from The Boys. He is. He's just Homelander. He's a sick, twisted, psychopathic piece of shit who was fucked up by his parents. Obviously, very, very bad parents. But like, the fact that there's no way out of this now, I feel like we're locked into the fucking horror train. With, if you're saying they can't replace Biden, and Biden can't argue against him. He's in a debate saying Democrats kill babies, you know. And Biden said, that was his reaction. Well done, Joe. He literally just said that Democrats kill babies. Do you not want to just try and take him to task on just that one point? No? You a bit tired, are you? You got a... Well, I've got a fucking cold. I'll still give him down the banks for saying I kill babies. I mean, it's kind of slur that I wouldn't allow to stand. Especially, you know, I don't do that kind of shit no more. Well, since I got told off by the local copper. But yeah, it's... Hey, it's beyond... What is happening right now is beyond comprehension.
The other worrying thing is, if they don't replace Biden, I fear that sort of saying this stuff that, you know, Biden's too old, you know, oh, he'll lose against Trump, or Americans won't vote for him because he's too old. I fear it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. I fear that just by saying that constantly and reinforcing that narrative, it sort of makes it true. I think the Americans have to be really careful of.
No, I don't have a problem with his age. He could be 21. But if he can't debate against Trump, then he can't do it. Do you know what I mean? It's nothing to do with his age. It's about his ability to take on Trump in this election. And he can't even take him on in a debate where Trump is saying, you kill children. And he just goes, yeah, maybe I do. I don't know. I can't remember. Where am I again? I'm like, no, it's just, you know, and someone's saying he can barely hear me. Sorry, Stephanie. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you. Like I say, I've just had to turn you up, so.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. I can't really shout, unfortunately, like I normally do. I'll turn my game right up. It's probably all distorted now. Do I sound like Davros?
No, you're all right. You're coming all right, fine for me.
Right. Apparently you're too loud. I'll turn you down a little bit, because I can't turn me up anymore. There you go. You've been turned down 2 decibels. Take that, you.
my loud Yorkshire voice.
Yeah, but yeah, every time I bring this up about Trump, people go about Biden. People go, just because you're going to throw the election because he was too old. It was going to be like butter emails, isn't it? Oh, he was a bit old, and it's not about him being old. I wish they would stop throwing this false dichotomy at me. I don't have a problem with his age at all. My problem is with his capability of taking Trump on, which I don't believe he has. I think anyone who watched that debate doesn't think he's got the capability to do it. And everyone's like, oh, but did you see what he said the next day? And I don't give a shit. The deed is done. And it's not like, you know, cognitive decline gets better in your old age.
I really, really do. I really do. I think Biden's still got a lot of stuff going for him. I think he's got a really good, impressive record. He's done a lot of good stuff in America.
Yes, he has.
Good stuff on like workers' rights. He's really sort of helped the economy. Came out, handled COVID really well.
Yes.
But
he's decrepit, and it's a personality context.
About it. And I think this is where we came last week, that, you know, the Democrats need to have a spine. They need to start running against the Supreme Court. They need to start really making abortion an issue and really start going after that. That's the main thing they really start to do, because that at that point will be a win for them.
Ollie, Trump absolutely demolished Biden in that debate over abortion. He said, I think it should be left up to the states, which is music to the ears, you know, of any Republican voter who still thinks the wrong side won the Civil War because it's all about states' rights. Yeah, states should have the rights. States should have the rights. And then he went on to say that Democrats kill babies. And Biden didn't even acknowledge it. You're saying like, oh, this is what they should be doing. The leader should be doing it. When people are talking about, the moderators, why weren't the moderators correcting his lies? It's not their job. Do you know whose job it was? Joe Biden's. And he didn't. He didn't correct a single lie. He made up a load of bullshit himself. He said that no American troops have died under his watch, which is bullshit. It's not true. He got his batting average wrong for his bloody bowling or whatever he does, golf. It was just like, oh, what? Oh, his handicap. It was golf handicap. It was the only bit where they actually had a discussion where like Trump said one thing and then Biden sent something to reply to that thing that he said.
Again, I am still very much in the camp. I think Biden can still do this. I think he still can do it. Trump's got still a lot of negative stuff going for him. Again,
are you willing to bet? Are you willing to bet the world on it?
I am, because I do really think, I still do think Biden can do it. He's got a lot of stuff going for him. I think if they get the right policies in place, especially around abortion, if they really run hard against the Supreme Court, if they really start talking up Biden's whole record of what he's done in office, I think that will be very, very good for him. Trump is not doing well with independence. The whole
neither's
court,
Biden.
all the rest
Neither's
things
Biden,
doesn't
though.
go very well for him.
Biden's behind in the polls across every in all the battleground states. He's behind amongst independent voters. He's behind now because they're looking at it, and you go, "Oh, I'm glad we don't have a presidency in the UK because it's all turned into a personality contest." Yes, it does. A dead man or a half dead man has no personality. This is why I'm just like, I'm majorly concerned, and a lot of the channels, the liberal channels over in America, the Democratic channels, are all just like, la la la, it'll be fine. I'm sure it'll be fine. And I'm like, I feel like they're not taking it seriously. And then they gaslight me and say, oh, you don't like him because he's old. And I'm like, fuck off. That's not the problem.
Well, I am very confident he can win against Trump. Very confident. I think we've brought up this before, but the Republican Party is bankrupt in
morally
Arizona,
bankrupt,
Georgia.
Morally bankrupt.
No, it doesn't have any money in those states. And we saw during this election what happens when CCHQ just pulled out money, pulled out activists on the ground to sort of go and do the groundwork in 3 crucial states. The Republican Party's got no money for that. That will have a huge effect on the elections. Huge effect on the elections in those states.
But I mean, Trump didn't have a big war chest in 2016 and he still won. I mean, Hillary Clinton had loads more money to spend than he did. But he got on the news every day. Did a stupid dickhead thing and he got on the news. The thing is, I haven't seen him for 10 days. He might be dead.
Now, I am still very confident Biden can do this. If they were going to replace Biden, they had to have done it this week. They would have to have done it last week, because you can't just hang around and not replace him. I think they are going to keep with Biden. I think he still is probably the best choice to beat Trump. I still think he can win it. And like I say, time will tell. But one of the good things about that debate was
Trump wins,
barely no one watched it.
If Trump wins, what are you going to do?
Well, I suppose we'll have a lot of content to talk about.
Yeah, for the first 4 minutes.
No, I am very, very confident that Biden can do this. I think there's still a lot of negatives going against him, in this. So I think it still needs something very drastic to happen for like Biden to lose. But I don't think just one bad debate performance.
It wasn't one bad debate, though.
It's the end of it.
But he's been interviewed since then, and he was crap in his interviews as well. It's like Grandpa Simpson versus the monorail guy. And the monorail guy's a con artist, but he's going to get the whole town singing, and they're going to build a monorail, and everyone's going to die as a result. And Leonard Nimoy's going to blast off into space for some reason. My work here is done. But you didn't do anything. Didn't I? Anyway, Alec Barrett, thank you very much for the super chat. Biden needs to use text to speech. It's his stammer. I mean, in a high stakes game like this, where the future of humanity is on the line, and I'm not exaggerating when I say that, I don't understand why a stubborn old man is standing in the way like this, and he's being allowed to. For what? His ego? Is he the only person in America who can do this job?
I don't know if it's even necessary ego, to be honest. I generally think that it's who do you get and who do you get at such a short notice. And like I say, if you do start with someone completely brand new, you're gonna have to start again with fundraising.
Anyone who could just debate, anyone who can just, anyone who's capable of just putting down Trump's lies. I'm sure out the 330 million people who live in America, there's at least a few of them, a handful, who are in a position where they could just go in a room when Trump says his 29 lies in a row, just refute them one by one. So that's not true. What really happened was this. What really happened is you raped someone. What really happened is you broke the law. What really happened is that you're a criminal. What really happened is that you're Vladimir Putin's bald chortler in chief. And every time he tries to answer a question, say, do you want to call your friend Vlad before you answer that? Because you're a little puppet, you're a little lapdog, you're a pathetic man, you're a pathetic waste of space, you're bad for America, you're bad for the world. Everybody hates you. Why don't you just fuck off? That's what I would say. Anyway, Emma Price, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. I'm firmly back in Ollie's camp. Emma had a bit of a waiver. She came over to my side on this, but now she's back in yours. Thanks very much for the super chat, though. I get he's not the best choice. Frustrating. However, all other potential candidates lose against Trump.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
How do you know that, Emma? Are you the Minority Report? Are you Doctor Strange?
They've run. I think there are some polls out there that show Kamala Harris doesn't do very good against him, and then it's sort of it's who do you go for? And sometimes what is it? Gavin Newsom, I think it's the governor of California. Or I think maybe one day we'll probably do a run for president. Still doesn't really have that much of a national presence, almost. So he's got to sort of. You've got what 4, 5, 6 months almost to try and get in there and sort of introduce yourself to America. That's not going to take, I think, enough time to sort of do that when Trump's sort of very, very much established in many of those places. Obviously there's the other debate coming up because there's only going to be 2 debates. The one in September I think will be a lot more crunch, I think, when it comes down to it. So we'll see how that
awful as well. What are they going to do? Give him some Xeno zip before he goes on?
Well,
it's a bit of marching powder.
It's what if by that point he's like turned it around? What if in that debate performance it's like really good? There is every chance for that.
This is such a gamble. This is an unreasonable gamble for these motherfuckers to be taken with our lives.
It is.
How dare they? How dare the Democrats do this to the rest of the world? They're as bad as the Republicans, mate. Someone in the chat said, how come no one's told Trump to piss off? The reason why the Republicans rally around Trump is it looks like he's going to win. It's as simple as that. They don't have anyone else who's as popular as him. Even though he can go and murder someone on Fifth Avenue and get away with it. Flint saying, don't underestimate USA women voting on Roe. Thanks for the super chat, Flint. But
I agree. That is, like I say, the Democrats need to do something about abortion. They need to make this election the Supreme Court an abortion issue, because if they do that, then they could very, very easily walk this election. They need to run on reforming the Supreme Court, change how it operates, change how it's done, and then they need to sort of really sort of go after, for the Republicans on abortion. Even Donald Trump is sort of backing away from some of the very, very extreme positions that some of the Republican states have tried to push for their abortion bans.
Oh, he's pretending that he hasn't read Project 25 now, isn't he?
I think they have. I have to wonder if that's going to come up more. in the
Yeah, but even so, it's
in the contest. I think it will come up more in the contest as it goes on.
Mm.
There's things like I think we've talked about this. Is it title 7? I think is it title 4? This is something that Trump did as like one of the last things he did because he thought he was going to win. So he undid title protection for a certain number of governmental jobs. And this is what would have allowed Trump to like fire a ton of people and then politically appoint, his own people. That's what, Project 2025 is, half about. We've got all these people ready to go into these key positions. Trump needs to just get in, do that, fire them, and just point them all in. That is probably one of the more worrying factors, is because a lot of people said how the past sort of Trump administration was a bit chaotic, and it was. This is where you could see a more organized sort of push
Yes.
with Project 2025. This makes for very, very terrifying reading. If you want, nightmares before bed, go and read, Project 2025.
Yes. That's what I mean. I mean, this isn't a normal election. They're playing it like it's a game of kids softball. If if the Democrats lose this election, it's game over for all of us. Like, I can't stress this enough. China will do what it likes. Trump won't stop them. They'll invade Taiwan. Things will kick off in the South China Seas. Then there might be nuclear war in the South China Seas because there's 7 countries that claim that area, and China, which is a nuclear power now. You got Russia. It's just going to invade Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia, and Moldova, and possibly anywhere else it can get its hands on. I mean, the amount of power that we're giving the bad men of the world, and it's all on a roll of a dice. On the roll of that, instead of having a really good, charismatic candidate who could walk this, they've put up this decrepit old man who can't even fucking debate Trump in a. Trump wasn't answering any of the questions. They had asked him a question like, what's colour's the sky? And he'll go and talk about something completely different. And no one challenged him on it. I think it was the most frustrating hour of my life. Just having to sit there doing the watch party and just going, why isn't he saying anything? Why is he not saying it? Why is he not doing it? Why? It was like Star Wars Episode 1 all over again. Alec Barrett, thank you very much for the super chat. 2022 was supposed to be a red wave. It wasn't. 2023 is supposed to be a red wave. It wasn't. Polls were worse for Dems in both cases than it is now. Yeah, but even so, it's a gamble.
That's true. That is true. That's worth bringing up as well. There were meant to be massive sweeps for gains for Republicans in both those years, and those didn't happen. That didn't materialize, partly because all of the people chosen in both those elections for the Republicans were all Trump picks. Trump handpicked many of those candidates. All his handpicked candidates all went and lost. So I think there is a lot to be hopeful for.
I think that if Biden loses,
I need to give you some more hopium, Graham. After this week, you need to dig deep into your reserves.
I think if Biden loses, he should just have Trump shot, because that's legal now. Thanks to the Supreme Court decision from last week, it's now legal to do that. Great. And and then have fake electors sent from any given state to lie that people of that state voted for Biden when they didn't, because he's allowed to do that now, according to the Supreme Court. He can do anything that gives the king pleasure, I guess. Sorry, did I say king? I meant president. I mean, there's always that. There's always that in his back pocket, that the Supreme Court has literally given him the power of an absolute divine right monarch, like it's the goddamn 16th century or something.
Just someone in the chat, I think it's Joanna Hammond, with her comment there. She puts, wouldn't abortion rights need to be enshrined in amendments requiring states to prove them to bypass the Supreme Court? Oh no, sorry. I've read the wrong one there. So it's, can Congress override the Supreme Court based on the fact that the Supreme Court can just override Congress? No. The Supreme Court sort of sits at the top.
Yeah. Unaccountable.
In that situation.
Unimpeachable.
What really needs to happen, I think a lot of progressives in America are really waking up to the fact that they have ignored the Supreme Court for a bit far too long, because it sits at 3-6 at the moment. So if you pass, it's like, let's say you got Bernie Sanders in, and Bernie Sanders passed universal healthcare, the Republicans just could take it to Supreme Court, gone like that.
Yeah. Yeah. The
It is.
Republicans are in charge now
Supreme
for the
Court
next
is a
50
very,
years
very
because
serious issue.
they control the Supreme Court. So what Biden needs to do now that he's been given the power of a king, he needs to seal Team 6, the SCOTUS 6. That's it. Bye. See you later. Sorry, it's an appointment for life. Well, you can either resign now or that's the end of it.
I think he should pack the Supreme Court. I really do. I think he should just in case before the election, just pack the Supreme Court so that the progressives have a majority and try and sort of overturn it in any way they possibly can. I think they will. I think this will be challenged in a way. I think this is something the Supreme Court is going to really heavily come to regret, because I don't think you can just give Biden such power, well, like the president, such powers to get away with this, even as they are saying, oh, well, we'll pass it down to the lower courts and then they can decide, was it an act of, presidential, was it part of the job to sort of get away with it, sort of things. That will obviously be something that needs to be, I think, challenged in many, many ways.
Oh, look, I was worried about the situation before, this debate, and now I'm absolutely terrified. But apparently there's nothing to worry about, and everything's proceeding perfectly normally. But Emma Price has dropped another super chat. Thank you, Emma. The other thing to consider, Trump may win, but Senate and House go to Democrats. That would scupper him. No, it wouldn't. Well, why would it scupper him? He's got absolute executive power. He could
for some stuff it would, but Trump
no.
would
What would it scupper? Sorry, Ollie. What would it scupper? He could have everyone in Congress shot dead legally by the army that he is in charge of.
I don't think it would go that far. I think at that point the military would go, no, we're not going to do that. But I don't think Trump could go or will even go that far.
Why?
But if he
can't, what gives you what is there about that orange psychopath, rapist, con artist, murderer that makes you think that there is too far? There is a point. There is a line.
I don't think the U.S. military will go that far.
They have to.
I don't think they will go that far.
He's the commander-in-chief. If he commands them to go and do something, he's got a 6-week window. He can tell the American military, the whole force of the military, nuclear bombs and everything, drone strikes, whatever, to go and invade a country without anyone else's approval. He doesn't have to ask Congress. He doesn't have to ask his cabinet. He doesn't have to ask his mum. He just invades. And then he's got 6 weeks to withdraw the troops if Congress says, no, that was a very naughty thing to do. I mean, this is high stakes like the human race have never known.
Again, I don't think that will happen. Like I say, I think there's more stuff at play there. I think the American military won't stand back there and sort of do that. I think that we did see lots of, generals, even former generals, come out during this sort of the Trump years and go, we wouldn't follow some of these orders that Trump's saying he would do, or things like that. So I think there's a lot of faith in that. But the big problem would be is that Trump would rule essentially by decree. He'd just use the presidential powers that we saw him use. In that, he would just sign something. But of course, what happens that if you get a Democrat in, just like Biden, pretty much undid all the, Trump years with a flick of his pen in one.
You can't bring people back to life, Ollie.
Well, yeah, but I don't know if it's going to. I won't go that far. I won't go that far. I think, won't go that far.
I wish I had your optimism. I'm just really not optimistic about this at all. Maybe it's just my imagination, but I know what bullies are like. I know what psychopaths are like. I know what compulsive liars are like, and he is all of those things, and he will do everything he can get away with. And I think thinking, oh well, he probably won't do that. Project 2025 makes it very clear that he's going to take over so many things in American everyday life. He's going to rule as a dictator, as a totalitarian dictator, and he's going to kill anyone who gets in his way. This is a man who buried his former wife in the corner of a golf course as a tax dodge. I mean, the guy is absolutely bloody insane. Let's talk about something happier.
Yeah.
Labour won.
Yeah, let's talk about David Lammy.
Let's talk about David Lammy's whirlwind tour around the EU. So come on, we're having a rapprochement now, which is a French word, which means
fantastic. Honestly, fantastic. I think whenever you have sort of a change of government, whenever you very clearly have foreign secretary who immediately, as soon as he has taken the position, jetted off straight away. He's spoken to the Germans. Germans have responded to it to sort of very, very positively. He's gone to, spoken to the Swedes, spoken to the Polish, reinforced, our ironclad commitment to sort of Ukraine, said that, we want to find a path for Ukraine to sort of join NATO as well. I think that's very, very good as well for him to say. Talked about, of course, the defense pact that is very, 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 very much, I think everyone in Europe would want to sort of see more come together, sort of have more cooperation or sort of around those things. And I think from that, we will see further things. David Lammy came out and said in a speech, I want us to be better partners. I want us to be, better people altogether. Oh no, I think my calendar's broken.
Oh no! What did you break?
It's there we go. Oh no.
It's all
No, it's all right. It's fine. It's safe. I was hoping. Oh no, I wondering what we're going to do then if that broke. How would I know what day it was? But no, it's. I think honestly, all this, everything that David Lammy has done, everything you've seen really come out from, some of the other foreign, his foreign policy counterparts in Germany, Sweden, Poland, Ukraine, really, really positive, positive. And this is the direction that, I myself, and I think others, if you are sort of wanting to rejoin the EU, this is the kind of stuff that the direction we need to go. This is the type of person, this is the type of attitude that we need to go in, and sort of do that. So it's been a massive sort of charm offensive. I think it's gone down very, very successfully, and
yeah, definitely.
Now we'll have to see what will come of these seeds that David Lammy has now planted. I think there is a lot to be really positive about our future relationship now with Russia, not Russia, with the with the EU. Sorry, yeah,
not Russia.
Absolute brain fart there.
But yeah, no, it's all good. And talking of the EU, obviously we had good news this week from France. This weekend, second round of voting for their parliament, and it looks like the first time around they voted with the heart, and the second time they voted with their heads. And the far right got a spanking, so much so that Marine Le Pen was photographed having a little bit of a cry.
I think that was a fantastic result, but this is what the French normally do. They are very, very pragmatic. The French left will go, right, we don't like Biden, but we'll hold our noses to make sure that they don't get in. You also had what I was worrying about, where you had the sort of Macron's party and sort of the new left, the coalition of the left parties were getting in the way with each other. So that was sort of my big worry, sort of going into this week. Would that happen? Would the parties get in the way of each other? But no, actually, they got out of each other's way in some sort of areas and ran where they could win. In sort of many respects. So they managed to sort of put that wall in, and they've completely stopped now this far right in France, which is very, very good, very, very good indeed.
Yes.
The other thing was, the president, I believe, has put his resignation in, but Macron hasn't currently accepted it until
the prime minister. You mean? Sorry.
Yeah. So he's put his thing in, and I think what you'll probably see now is you might maybe see someone from this left-wing coalition take over. So potentially in France, a lot of changes could happen as well for them.
I mean,
So
it could just be deadlock and nothing happens. Like,
yeah, that is true. That's the other
unfortunately.
now worry now, because obviously you've won. Now you have to govern.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the challenge will
Oopsies.
be, can these two very different parties work together?
Yeah.
And can they agree on stuff? Can they compromise? Can they be pragmatic, saying, well, we'd like to do this, you'd like to
Yeah.
do that. Let's come together and find out what we can do together.
You say potato and I say potato. There's a
Exactly.
really, really weird way of pronouncing potato. Um, yeah, is Ollie on a small boat as Rwanda has been scrapped? Yep, small for small boats around here. 100,000 asylum seekers they're going to take in each year now. And there's going to be a process where you actually get, checked to see if you can work here or you can live here. And the Tories didn't do that. They just put people in the hotels and let them all stack up and let people who live near the hotels complain about it. I'm being told that the US military can disobey an illegal order, yeah, but it won't be illegal because anything any pleasure that the president has, that is now okay. Apparently, no matter how illegal. That's what the dissenting voices of the Supreme Court said last week. If Trump gives any order and the judgment of the command authority breaks the law or violates the Constitution, then officers are duty bound to disobey or countermand the order. Well, I don't want to risk it. Can we not risk it? Can we just not risk it? Can we just have a nice time? Can everyone just have a nice time? That's
Don't worry.
want.
I have faith, Graham. Have faith. I think
don't have any faith. I'm a
Biden's
militant
gonna win.
atheist. I
Biden's
don't
gonna
believe
win.
in
I really
anything
do.
ever. I don't believe in anything. So I've been self-employed now for 25 years, and one thing I've learned is I don't believe anything unless the money's in the bank. There you go. That's the way I look at it. Is the money in the bank? No. All right, I don't believe it then. So yeah, we've got. Oh, actually, I was on a look at the other stuff we were supposed to talk about, and it was about Sleepy Joe. So that's all right. We've talked about that. So what do you think? Do you think France is going to work together? Do you think the two big coalitions of the left and Macron's Together coalition? Do you think they can work together, or do you think it's
they
just going to
can.
fall apart?
I really
like
do.
Wet cake.
I really do. I do not see how they cannot work together. Yes, there's going to be some arguments. Yes, there's going to be disagreements about what exactly they want to get done. But, they are constantly going to be reminded that, Le Pen.
Le Pen.
Yeah, Le Pen.
Stick to Le Pen.
Yeah, stick to Le Pen.
The problem with the Tories is you don't have a plan.
Exactly. So it could be the thing that, Le Pen is just, right behind them. And that could be certainly something that I think will probably be the very biggest motivation for them in the parliament. They will absolutely be motivated by that, knowing that if they can't work together, if they collapse, then they know what's behind them in many ways.
Yeah. Sorry, you're gonna hate me, Ollie, but just to go back to a point someone's made, don't forget he pardoned the last lot. To go back to Trump, yeah. So here we go. He tells the army to do something illegal. They do it, right? Because they feel like they have to. And then the DOJ says, "Oh, that was illegal. You're not supposed to do that. We're going to put you into a federal court and put you on trial." And Trump is in charge of the DOJ, and he says, "Don't put them on trial, so they don't get put on trial." But let's say the DOJ does some kind of secret Star Trek clever thing where they didn't even know there was a secret court that you could do that circumvented the president, and they get them and they put them on trial and they're found guilty and they're put in jail, and then the president can pardon them.
Again, probably not. Yeah, I am a lot more hopeful. I'm a lot more hopeful.
The power of the American president is truly terrifying, and it's one of the reasons why I don't mind our constitutional monarchy as much as other people. Kat was complaining today. She was like, "What? Why did they drag the bloody speaker out of it up to the chair? What's all that about? And why? What's all the arcane, stupid things? It just looks like a schoolyard. It looks like kids play." And I'm like, "Well, there's a historical reason for them to drag the speaker up because they've got to pretend that they don't actually want the job. Because back in the day, they didn't want the job because their job was basically to tell the king what Parliament had decided. And if the king didn't like what Parliament had decided, occasionally, you know that expression, don't shoot the messenger?
Mm.
Yeah, sometimes the messenger got shot, possibly with an arrow, because I don't think they had guns back then. But do you know what I mean? So like they didn't want the job. They didn't want to be the person who had to go and tell the king that, I don't know, there was a revolution or taxes hadn't come in, or, you know, that Brexit wasn't the success that the king thought it would have been. The king being 17 generations inbred and not all there. Because you'd have to be to think Brexit was a good idea. But yeah. So yeah, let's just talk about resetting relations with the EU, because it's not just the EU, it's also continuing relations that we've got with Ukraine. But what I think is really special about what David Lammy's done, I think this is the first time, probably since World War II, that I've seen this. The first thing that the Foreign Office have done under a new government has reached out to our continent, our friends and neighbours on our continent, rather than America. And this is the first non-America first foreign policy, which is remarkable considering we were like in the EU for so many years, but obviously, you know, not now. But the EU is absolutely critical to the whole process of getting the UK back on its feet after 14 years of Tory sadism.
I think there's a lot to look forward to in terms of sort of future deals and agreements of what they can sort of do and work together on. I think now we're going to sort of see just the start of what we can sort of achieve, sort of working together. So I'm very, very hopeful what we will achieve. And of course, you know, I don't know, I've said it before. I don't know if I've said it on here on this channel, but I've always said there will come a point where, you know, Lammy and Starmer or, you know, Labour will just turn around and just go, look, this is Brexit. You know, we've done as best as we can to try and improve it. But everything is shown, you know, it involves working together with the EU to sort of improve that, to do deals with them, to align with them on all these different things. You know, this is Brexit. This is as best as it's going to be. This is, can't do it anymore. Do you still want this? Or, you know, do you want to go, you know, back and, you know, rejoin the EU? And I think that's the point, I think, where we're going to head to. I really do think that's the point where we're going to head to.
Yeah. Sarah's in the chat shouting, "Hey Sarah, how you doing? What is it with the children of migrants that make them hate other migrants?" I think there's a deep-seated psychological thing going on here, which is partly, you know how a convert to a religion is often a lot more zealous than someone who's born into it, because in the heart of hearts, they never feel like they are that thing. You know, they don't feel as Christian or Jewish or Muslim as somebody who was just born into it. So they try extra hard. And then coupled with that, you got this idea that, you know, they misinterpret what being British is about. In Suella Braverman's stupid little head, she thinks that being British is synonymous with being xenophobic, being racist. So the more racist that she is, the more people will accept her as being British. The problem is the racists will never accept her because they're racists. Well, the racists
and there is, I think it's in Sweden. You actually see this. There's somewhere, I think it's Sweden, where you actually see a lot of second generation migrants to Sweden really, really have a lot of negative feelings about new migrants, you know, coming into Sweden because of this. Like I say, I think it's Sweden where it was. If not, it was one of the Nordic countries where they did this. But there's a study out there somewhere that has a look at this. I'm pretty sure it's Sweden, or if not, it's one of the Nordic countries. But that is something really, really bizarre to see and weird to think that. But
yeah,
just how it is, weirdly.
Joanna in the chat saying, Graham's going to hate what I'm about to say. I voted leave to teach the bloody idiots what they will miss. Well, what about me? Like, I've had my life ruined by Brexit. I had dreams, I had plans for what I wanted to do with my life, and I can't now because I wasn't born a fucking millionaire. If I was, I could still live and work anywhere I wanted in Europe, but I can't anymore because that right, that birthright that I've had for years has been taken away. So thanks for that, John. I'll just sit here bitching about stuff on the internet instead of, you know, fulfilling the life that I had planned for myself. It's fine. I don't mind. Whatever. How many times are we here? Once? Oh, yeah. True. Oh well. At least I learnt my lesson, eh? Jez, the zealotry of Jez says the zealotry of the convert ex-smokers and recent vegetarians are very much that way. Yeah, isn't that the joke? Like, how do you know someone's a vegan? Don't worry, they'll tell
I'll
you.
tell you.
Yeah. And the thing is that overzealousness puts other possible converts off. I find this a lot with vegetarians. I would much rather, if they're going to post stuff on Facebook to try and encourage people not to eat meat, how about you post pictures of food, like vegan and vegetarian food, that looks absolutely delicious, and like a little recipe with it to say, here's how you make it, instead of pictures of animals being abused, because I'm only going to look at that. I'm going to scroll. It's going to give me nightmares. I hate it. You get more. What is it? You get more flies with honey than with vinegar, or something like that. I don't know. Checkhead says, I believe the crucial thing with Tory second generation immigrants is private school education. That's probably quite true. Band of Harp J says some of them might be descended from the people who sold out the colonies in the first place. Well, I mean, the people who sold out the colonies, I mean, what are you talking about? Like the Caribs in the Caribbean? I don't think they got much choice in the matter. That's why you don't meet too many Caribs these days. Michael says, it's okay, we love you, even if you need to clean the warehouse again. Yeah, Ollie, I need to clean the warehouse, mate. So what?
Well, actually, you do make sure you do clean the roof, because for insurance purposes, if your roof's not clean, but if you get your roof cleaned regularly, you can get a nice discount.
Oh yes, get your roofs cleaned. So Iran has also had elections,
yes.
And they have elected. I'll try and say his name right. Masoud Pereshkin. I'm probably saying that completely wrong. Who's a former heart surgeon, and he's a reformist, and he's now their president-elect, which is great news. He wasn't expected to win. This was a bit of a surprise, I think, and hopefully it's a step in the right direction. However, I should explain a couple of things. Like, in Iran, the president doesn't really have that much power. The power is really in the hands of the supreme leader, the Ayatollah. The president is sort of very much has to do what they're told. So it's the equivalent of having a prime minister and a king, but a king with actual political power, not like our king who isn't allowed to say shit. But yeah, it's a hell of a relief, and hopefully it could pave the way to better relations with Iran, especially if the Democrats do win this election in November that I'm terrified about. We could see maybe a reset in relations.
It's with the rest of Europe as well. I think Europe as a whole, we need to really reapproach Iran and sort of bring them back almost into sort of the Western world, get them away from the axis of evil. I think there's a lot of good opportunities. I really do think there is a lot of good opportunities if we can sort of bring them back, because there's a lot of like really young Iranians who are very, very westernized, even more so than before. And I think there's big changes could happen in Iran very, very easily. Not we're going to go in and coup Iran or anything like that. But I really do think there could be a lot of really helpful stuff that we could get. And as we talked about before, we could pull Iran away from helping to support Russia. Speaking of that, we just saw Modi go to India. Not India. Sorry, India. We saw Modi go to Russia.
Yes.
So that's a bit of a bugger.
But he didn't do as well in his elections in India as he thought he was going to do.
Well, I was hoping that might put him off relations with Russia, but unfortunately not.
They've got all that lovely cheap oil, mate. Do you like some cheap oil?
Well,
that's like showing a bit. That's like showing a bit of ankle to a dictator, in it. Hey, baby, do you like some cheap oil? Oh, cheap oil. But yeah, I'd like to see. I'd like to see Iran brought back in from the cold, because it is, I talk about it a lot about my travels when I went into Iran. It was just one of the most beautiful countries I've ever seen, and the people there were so lovely, and it just breaks my heart that they've been ruled over since 1979 by a bunch of fuckers who won't let that country, the good people of that country, just breathe free because of their own ego, or I don't know. But at least they haven't got nuclear weapons, eh?
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, even if they did have nuclear weapons, I think at that point it would be even more of an impetus to actually really talk and sort of really negotiate with them.
Yeah.
And I'd be interested to see what Lammy's stance on this. Now, of course, at the moment hasn't really said anything, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what the future brings us. 5 years is a long time, and not saying anything about Iran, I think, is going to be pretty much impossible. But we'll see what happens.
Leanne Scott in the chat is saying Iranian people are very strong. And Ernie, hi Ernie. I met Ernie on Thursday. He was at the party. He gave me his book of poetry. It's really good. I've been flicking through it, Ernie. It says Iranian demographics are very young. That's true as well. W. James says, wouldn't surprise me if Putin is helping keep Modi in. Well, yeah, he is. I mean, cheap oil, mate, cheap oil. And then there's an argument going on in the chat about Brexit, but that's not really our sphere, is it? Right, we're going to wrap up in a couple of minutes, Ollie, because we're going to throw everyone over to Maximilian's feed, whether you want to or not. Sorry, live stream, not his feed. Maximilian's live stream starts in a couple of minutes, so we'll be heading over there. Have you got any other stories, or are we all storied out? Because I think the UK election
I was hoping to see we might have some more news from Japan, because as you know, we've been following
corruption,
the huge corruption scandal in Japan.
Yeah.
That's taken out almost every sort of single level of the government and implicated almost every single high level leader in Japan. I was hoping we would get some news this week, but unfortunately not. But we'll see what happens. And like I say, we're following the Governor Tokyo elections as well to see who wins that, because that could have some very interesting implications for the future elections in Japan.
How's Javier Milei, the man on the telly, doing at the moment in old Argentina? Is he still alive?
He's actually changed support. He's actually come out this week and said he's going to help support Ukraine and Zelensky.
What?
It sort of came out from nowhere.
Okay.
So that was a bit of an interesting shock, but I still don't know how much longer Milei he's going to last, because he's got almost 300% inflation at this point. His whole plan to dollarize, his country doesn't seem to be going well, and is of course based on the libertarian pipe dream of sooner or later, it finds its true value when, what if it drops through the floor and the value is zero, even less than that. So yeah, Argentina still continues to be quite an interesting place, and of course getting economic readings from his dead dog. I'm sure nothing.
He also wants to pull out of Mercosur. He wants to pull out of Mercosur, which is the South American trading bloc, which we've got an amazing post-Brexit trade deal with. But it might actually collapse without Argentina being part of it. And Leanne Scott saying poor people suffering. Yeah, that happens everywhere in the world. And every time one of these populist dingbats get into power, the people who really suffer are the people at the bottom of the socioeconomic ladder. Yeah. They don't suffer. It doesn't affect them. They'll still be all right.
One of the things that he's done is he's on subsidized public transport system. And for a country that is so urbanized and so many people rely on public transport to sort of get around, and had a massive impact on on their economy because of he's undone that. That's having a massive impact on so many people. But
yeah,
it's the libertarian thing to do.
Fucking libertarians, man. Fucking libertarians.
It'll be fine.
Posh, rich, nepo baby anarchists. I think we need to have a cap on wealth. I think if you got more than £1 million, that's enough, mate. Just stop there. You'll turn into a monster. And I know not everyone turns into a monster wants to get really rich. Look at Taylor Swift, for instance. But enough do.
That's a good point. Something else we should probably bring up. The stance now on Gaza.
Oh yes,
Labour,
with our new with our new Attorney General, and they've dropped the Tory policy of, what was it, defunding universities that divested shares in Israeli companies. What? Sounds like government overreach to me, that, Ollie. Demanding private companies spend money on certain things.
Yeah, but they're also dropping the challenge against arresting Netanyahu for war crimes as
criminal court. Yeah,
for the criminal court. So that's good as well. That's a very good stance.
And they've put in this Attorney General. The Attorney General, our new Attorney General, has spent a lot of time over the last few months, pushing for justice for the people of Gaza. So this is great.
So all these people worried about, what will happen with Gaza if Labour gets in. Well,
it's
judge them by their actions.
But they're still going to be pissed off because they don't really care about the people of Gaza. They just performatively care about them. If you actually do care, then you'd be happy about this. But, you can't win them all. You can't win them all. But do you know what? We won last week here in the UK. Labour winning a massive majority. The Lib Dems winning 72 seats. There are now over 500 seats held in Parliament by centre and centre-left progressives. I think that is just wonderful. The hard right, the far right in France got their asses handed to them in their elections at the weekend. And although, the left and the centre might not work together so well, at least the Nazis have been fended off for another good few years. And I want to share your optimism for the American situation because I don't want too many sleepless nights between now and November the 5th.
I think there's a lot of stuff to look forward to. I think everything we've seen for the past few years does seem to be finally, maybe turning a page. Maybe things are going to start generally seriously getting better because we've got good people in who are competent. Competency, boring, but turns out in a government probably incredibly good.
Bring back boring. All right, well, thanks, Ollie. Are you around on Friday? Are you going to?
Yes, I will be. Yep.
Yeah, you're going to come to our social.
I will do.
But who won in Barnsley?
Dan Jarvis and Stephanie Peacock.
Fantastic. All right. Well, maybe
Barnsley North and South. Well, Barnsley North.
Yeah,
very much safe under Dan Jarvis, but Stephanie Peacock, her majority was 4,000, I think it was. So, bit worrying there, but hey, a win's still a win. But
we need to have a meet up in real life. So maybe me and Phil can get down to Barnsley. It's not far for him, is it? I don't know.
Well, you technically meet in the middle.
Yeah, exactly. He'll be coming up from near Donny. All right, mate. Well, listen, take care. Thank you so much. Thanks to everyone in the chat. And thanks for the super chats. It's really kind of you. And sorry I'm a bit subdued and a bit croaky. I've still got this bloody cough. Can't get rid of it. But, I haven't been having too bad coughing fits. Earlier you were talking and I thought, I'm going to cough. I better press mute on my mic. So I pressed a little button on the front of my mic to mute it. And I coughed. And then I realised it was already muted. And I turned it on. It's like I turned on the mic so I could cough down it. So sorry to anyone who got a bit of a shock in their headphones. Anyway, we're gonna throw you over to into the capable, lovely hands of Maximilian Robespierre now. If you keep watching, this stream will automatically take you over there. I know we're a few minutes late because we went on a bit at the end there, but please say hi from Politics Social. Please say hi from Graham and Ollie once you're over there. So thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I'll say hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.